The Australian story, no matter the chapter, is an adventure story. Ancient, action-packed, precious and proud. This week, I'll trace the echoes of our adventurous spirit all the way from the shores of Sydney Harbour to the skies over the Tasman and higher again to the roof of Australia itself. Ours is a country of open roads and experiences wild and new. An adventure story that's yours for the making. For 40,000 years, the traditional owners of our great sunburnt southern land seemingly traversed its vast distances at will, guided simply by spirits and hunger, natural wanderers born of necessity. But ever since Captain James Cook parked his ship, the Endeavour, right there in Botany Bay back in 1770, the white man decided that Australia should be discovered, should be mapped and charted, and so began this nation's fascination with travel. We are dream chasers and stargazers, and the history books are littered with great Australian pioneers and daredevils willing to go as far as the flames of hell and sizzle if they must, all in the name of exploration and adventure. No matter the measure, Australia is epic. And as Australians, this immensity speaks to us daily. And no one's felt this call to adventure more keenly than Jason Beachcroft, the first person to circumnavigate the Australian mainland and Tasmania in a sea kayak. So do you remember this bit? Remember leaving from this point?
I do.
And what was the feeling like then?
A sense of relief in some regards that it was finally underway.
Yeah.
It was a hard last week, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Getting everything sorted, shutting down your life.
What makes a great adventure?
A great adventure.
Yeah.
Something that excites you, something that pushes your boundaries about what you think is possible or not possible.
This is the Southwest Cape. So once I get around that corner over there officially, I've done the West Coast.
Big milestone, yay!
For his circumnavigational exploits, Jason was named Australian Geographic's 2014 Adventurer of the Year. But if you're after an old school window into what it's like to take on the open ocean, the 7-kilometre paddle around Sydney's spectacular North Head to Manly's Shelley Beach is an adventure well worth the calluses. It's a truly magnificent sight, isn't it? Particularly from a paddler's perspective. The entrance to possibly the most renowned harbour in the world, carved out of the rock 29 million years ago. And having survived the ferocity of the 7 seas, you can just imagine what Cook and those early explorers thought when they arrived here. Not only a harbour of safety and calm water, but a thing of absolute beauty. The ocean has always been a source of great freedom and passion for many Australians, but has a power that is always respected. And over the course of 17 unforgettable months, Jason, alone in his kayak, paddled our continent's entire coastline with only his guts and his wits to get him through. What constitutes the highlight of the day?
Wow, it's all sorts of different things. Sometimes the beaches and sights you'd see, or the wildlife. Hello. The sharks are curious. They learn stuff about biting things. I've technically probably had over 50 shark attacks whilst on the trip, but only 4 or 5 of them were more serious.
whales?
Yep, the humpbacks and southern rights. I had a close encounter with one. I wasn't aware at the time that it was actually there until it jumped out of the water fully about 15 metres in front of me.
While the waters of Manly's Cabbage Tree Bay Aquatic Reserve, on the doorstep of Sydney's 4.5 million people, are unlikely to produce any humpbacks today, this little patch is known as an urban underwater environment, the envy of the world. Beneath the surface, this tiny corner of creation teems with over 160 iconic species of fish. Flamboyant blue gropers, the ever-aloof cuttlefish, and those swimming works of art, the wobbegong sharks, can all be encountered in no more than 10 metres of water. And so, with only a single day's perspective on Jason's incredible journey, down here it's easy to see why so many of us are adventurers at heart. What do you think it is about a guy like you, though, that separates you from the rest of us, whereby you will actually tackle something like this?
A willingness to fail,
Yeah.
a willingness to actually give it a shot. And I think that's important things. A lot of people won't do things sometimes, not because they're not interested in doing it, but they're really concerned that they're not going to succeed. I think there's a lot of adventures that need to still be done.
After the break, the adventure story that inspired a nation.